Kerry and welcome to my channel. In this video I'm going to go through the basics of ISO and how making changes to this setting can have an impact on your photos. I'm also going to show you on the camera how to change the settings and also give you some guidelines to get you started taking better pictures instantly. Cameras need to gather a certain amount of light to be able to produce an image. Now, under different lighting situations, you can control this by adjusting how long the shutter speed is open for or how wide the aperture is. But the digital camera has another tool up its sleeve to be able to still take pictures when the light is poor. That is ISO. So by adjusting ISO, you can adjust the sensitivity of the sensor to light. ISO stands for International Standards Organisation. I know, not very exciting, but it is the scale that is used. Back in the day, photographers would actually have to go out and physically choose which film to buy, depending on what exposure they wanted, so either a 100 or a 200 film. Now, a typical range for ISO is between about 100 and 25,600, but I do believe there's some cameras out there now that go over 400,000, which is crazy. What you need to know though is that some cameras allow you to change the settings and some don't, so check that first. Some cameras may just have it as an automatic setting or just give you a limited range of between say 50 and 200. So the lower the ISO number, the lower the sensitivity of the sensor to light. As the ISO doubles, so say for example we've gone from 100 to 200, so has the amount of light that is recorded on the sensor. So just like shutter speed and aperture, this doubling up of light is called a stop. Now, ISO is something that you can completely forget about. With modern cameras now, it's an automatic setting, so it will just choose the best ISO for you if you put it onto auto. And I must admit, when I first started photography, it was the last thing on my mind because I wanted to be able to change the aperture, you know, to be able to get those really nice blurry effects, or to change the shutter speed to get motion freeze, or to get blurry water or fuzzy water. But now, when I go out on a shoot, it's the first thing that I look at changing. And the reason for that is that it can create so many more possibilities for you when you're out taking photographs. So, for example, if it's really bad lighting, normally an action shot would be really difficult to take because that shutter can't stay open for very long. But by being able to adjust your ISO, so increase your ISO, you can get much better pictures. When it gets dark outside or you're indoors and you don't want to use flash, then by raising the ISO on the camera, it allows you to still be able to take some really great photographs. Now, unfortunately, there is a bit of bad news. So the higher you raise your ISO, the more you're amplifying the electrical current that the photo sites are generating. What this means is you're boosting the noise within the signal, which shows up as grain in your photographs. It can also affect the colour and the dynamic range. I personally find though, on modern cameras, between 400 and 800 is usually visually acceptable. Now, there may be times when there's nothing you can do about it, and sometimes you're left with the option of either having a blurry image or an image with a bit of grain in it. So personally, I would rather have a picture to take home that's got a bit of grain in it than no picture at all. Don't forget to use a tripod when the light isn't the best, because it allows you to use what precious light you've got by having those longer exposures than having to increase the ISO really high. The picture quality will be much, much better. The simple rule for setting ISO is to use the lowest ISO possible to preserve picture quality. The lowest setting on your camera is classed as the base ISO. Now, don't forget the exposure triangle, and any changes you make to ISO also need to be compensated for in either shutter speed or aperture. Now let's get started. Let's change the ISO settings on your camera. So just press the ISO button to activate the ISO setting, and then I find the easiest way is using the main dial on the top of the camera. Just turn this along to the desired speed and you'll see the ISO numbers change on the LCD screen as seen here. Or if you're looking through your viewfinder at this point, you'll see it there too. It can also be changed on the live view screen if you have one, or alternatively, you may have to go into your camera's main menu to select it. Now, in practice, you can use an ISO of about 100 on a bright sunny day. This will allow you to have larger apertures and longer exposure times. As you increase the ISO, this allows you to have smaller apertures and shorter exposure times. Now, I normally use 100 when it's sunny and you're outside. 200 when there's a bit of cloud, and between 400 and 800 when it's really shady, or when you go indoors, sometimes having to increase it to about 1600. I generally don't use any higher than that, but when I do, it's usually something specific like sports photography indoors or night scenes, and that's when you have to really increase the ISO. Now that's all you need to get started. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to check out my what is aperture and what is shutter speed. I will link them in the description box below. But if you've enjoyed the video, give me a like, subscribe to my channel, follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye!